Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Let's do some broadcasting with our guy, Mike McFeely, joining us, who is not in the media communications transfer portal. You were keeping an eye on the portal as I was yesterday.
Yes.
Our guy, Jody Wright, has some changeover happening again there.
But
down
as
in
somebody tweeted at me when I put on Twitter or X or whatever it is, Elon Musk's crap hole. I said that it looks like Murray State has 28 guys in the portal, and somebody like a Murray State fan or something of the number that there are out there said, you know, we were 1-11 last year. I think we need some changes. I said, yep.
Fair enough.
I don't disagree, but how can you, like if you're Murray State or any other program that struggles at whatever level, I don't care if it's Division II, FCS, or Division I, like at some point in football, you need stability.
Right.
You know, you can't, Jody Wright had like 52 new players.
60, I believe. Yeah, it was pretty close to that, right?
Between transfer portal guys and true freshmen last year, they had 52 or 60 brand new players. You can't do that every single year.
No. That's not a recipe for success.
No,
to do that.
Not at all. But what we did learn from being down there was that the previous head coach, from what it sounded like, there just wasn't a lot of accountability and discipline, and there wasn't a program there in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so I think Jody is trying to build a program, and so you have to get guys there who want to be there and who, will show up for practice and go to meetings. And I know that. No, that's from talking to a couple of people down there. It goes beyond just actual talent. It goes to you just have to not do certain things and do other certain things.
I got a host of things I want to chat about. This first topic I know you and I both have to be kind of tap dancing on this with the Heisman because we each have a vote, but we can't tell who we voted for until Saturday night. I know you were watching the Boise game for a lot of reasons. A, it was a good football game.
I've actually watched
several
West. Boise, half dozen or more Boise State games this year for obvious reasons because
obvious reasons. Ashton Genty's a heck of a football player. He's really, really good. Boise State tailback.
He is really good. The guy that we watched in the season's first game,
I was going to go to is Travis Hunter.
Is a really, really good football player.
Hunter was named first team All Big 12 offense and All Big 12 defense.
Yes.
And, we saw him play in person, so I guess I am biased towards that because this is the first time I'm going to see a guy invited to the Heisman ceremony that I got to see in person, but he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, right? I mean, I think so.
It kind of looks like it. What I have learned, part of my frustration with FCS football is whatever media are left that cover FCS football are extremely provincial and oftentimes homerish to the point of wow. What I've noticed with the Boise State media and bloggers and all, they're just blatantly they're just cheering openly for Ashton Genty to win the Heisman Trophy and trashing Travis Hunter. And it's like, well, okay. And I don't. My point is, if my dream is realized, and North Dakota State gets a phone call from Gloria Navarez and gets the invitation, I don't know that part of my frustration is going to change much. Is my point.
I see.
Okay. I think the Fresno guys, from talking to some of them about the Matt Entz deal and stuff, they're big city, a little more removed from the
homerism part of it,
the team colors. But I think still some of these other Mountain West schools and even some of the Colorado guys are like, well, okay.
Well, you tweeted this as well about the anti-Hunter or anti-Colorado, and that's tied to Deion and his son him, right?
I think it's the Boise State people are just totally homerish. They want Genty to win because he's from and that's a great story. Imagine if somebody from a group of 5 school, Boise State, imagine if they had a Heisman Trophy winner. That would be a great story. Yep. And the kid came back to Boise. He could have left for millions of dollars to go to anywhere else. He stayed in Boise, so good for him. But the trashing of Hunter, and as you said, so much of it is based on that people don't like Deion Sanders.
That's my opinion. I think that's where you get it from. Yeah.
And I'll go there if you don't want to. Why would they not like Deion Sanders? Why would a vast portion of America not like Deion Sanders? Because he is a successful, outspoken, confident black man.
Correct. Yep.
And the key is the penultimate word in that sentence.
Correct. Yep.
That he just doesn't fit what much of America wants to see in a black person, frankly, is that he's successful, confident, outspoken, doesn't really care what people think of him. And many people were rooting for him to fail at Colorado for that exact reason.
And we're excited that we're bad last year.
Yes. Yep. And I think guys like you and I have been more of, I've said publicly for 2 years now, I don't know how it's going to work out.
Yep.
I said, we just don't know. And part of the pushback on Deion from the college football world was you have a bunch of old white guys that see their model being blown to pieces.
Correct.
It's not Deion's fault. It's the transfer portal, NIL, all of that's out of his. He had nothing to do with that.
Embracing it,
but he's embracing it and saying, "Look, I'm a powerful personality. I'm a brand. I can get kids to come here because of me, and we're going to pay them, and they're going to move around. And if they don't like it here, they can leave. It doesn't matter because that's what the rules are.
And we're going to get the best talent possible.
Yes. Yep. And I'm going to surround myself with NFL level coaches, and it worked this year.
And I remember we talked about leaving Boulder that night. I'm like, I don't know, is Colorado any better? They certainly were.
Yes, they were.
They were.
And that at the start of the season, I'll say I said I don't know if they're going to be any better than 4-8.
I said the same thing too.
And even leaving there, it's kind of like, well, I mean, obviously Shador is wow, and Hunter is wow, and Jimmy Horn is wow, but I mean, was the offensive line that great at that time? No. Was the defensive line that great at that time? No.
Yeah.
But as the season went on, what happened? They got better.
Yep.
And they're a legit Power 5 program now. In 2 years. 2 years.
Yeah, correct.
2 years. So I think it worked.
He's going to get better, and he's going to get players.
But back to your
really
question,
good.
it's just, I mean, the Travis Hunter is a generational player. I won't say once in a lifetime. I guess generational, 20 years.
Be like Deion,
right? I mean,
and Deion played 30 years ago when he came on the scene.
The guy's playing 115 snaps a game, and that doesn't mean that's the only reason that somebody might vote for him for the Heisman. And I'm not saying I voted for him for the Heisman, but he's playing 115 snaps a game, and he's all conference at both positions.
Ridiculous.
I mean,
right?
How do you not just go, well, I mean, I prefer Genty because he's, 2,000 yards or whatever he's going to get.
Touchdowns,
I mean, that's okay. Yep. Both of them are okay. You can't go wrong.
No.
But you can't trash Travis Hunter.
Correct.
Because you don't like his head coach.
No. I want to get your thoughts here before we go to break. You mentioned Fresno. The news came as we were on the air last Wednesday during signing day that it's not Brent Vegan. It was Matt Entz.
Yeah.
And as you and I both chatted with Matt briefly last week, Entz told me this came together awfully quick. The Fresno AD seemed to confirm that in the press conference last week. What do we make of the former Bison head coach taking the Fresno State job?
Good for him. He stated his goal when he left here was, I want to be a head coach in FBS someday. And I was told time and time again that I need FBS experience. And so he went out and got that for 1 year. Brent Vegan was in the mix at Fresno State. I don't think there's any question about that. And what happened there, don't know. I think we'll find out, I think, someday.
Probably. That stuff always has a way of coming to the forefront.
Yep. And so we'll find that out. But good for Matt Entz. I'm actually going on a Fresno television station later today to talk about him and the job and what I think of him or know of him from being from here. But it's a good job. He's going to get paid like $7.5 million over 5 years with a bunch of bonuses. So
it's pretty good.
He is, set for life as his wife and kids are as well. Good for him. Good for them. He deserves it. When you I mean, people knocked Matt Entz for coming here and, being the third guy in, and still won 2 national championships, still had a bunch of guys develop in his program and end up in the NFL. I think did a great coaching job the last couple of years with the injuries in 2022, and then
especially last year, the second half of last year.
I thought 2022 was pretty good too.
I'm not disputing that.
I think to get to Frisco in 2022 with the injuries they had,
so many guys
and the team that they ended up bringing down to SDSU. I mean, I had former players, talking to me on Friday going, this is not going to go well tomorrow for us because the Jacks are really good and we're really banged up and it's just not, and they're just better than we are. That's the alumni talking. But I think getting to Frisco that year was a good thing for Matt Entz. I think the job he did last year in sort of rallying the troops after just getting embarrassed up in Grand Forks. The season could have gone down the toilet after Grand Forks, but they made some changes. I think he took over the defense. I know he took over the defense with Grant Olson after the UND game, and they got better as the year went on. And I still argue they might have been the second best team in the country. It wouldn't have mattered again. They would have lost against Frisco the Jacks, again. But I think you could make the argument they would have given the Jacks a better game just because NDSU's offense was better and the defense with Montana was about equal.
Yep. I'm interested to see what his staff looks like. I was asked about that. I was on a Fresno radio last week asking, well, what's his staff going to like? It's got to have, obviously, some California ties to it. Just that's the name of the game on that.
I've been asked multiple times, do I think that anybody from the current NDSU staff? I don't think so.
I don't either. No.
I mean, again, Matt was in California for 1 year, and every time I talked to him over the summer, like he wasn't in California. He was in Florida. He was in Ohio. I mean, he was in Texas.
Texas was when I talked to him.
He was all over the country recruiting because USC is a national,
it's USC,
base.
Right?
And so I don't know what kind of connections he has in California.
Fresno State opens. He'll be back in this part of the world, Mike, because they play a Week 0 game at Kansas against his old buddy Lance Leipold, who's head coach at Kansas. That'll be a fun one to start the 2025 season. They play Georgia Southern, then Oregon State and Southern. That's their non-conference as of now.
What's going to be curious for me is it always felt to me when Matt took over NDSU, like I don't want to say he wasn't enjoying himself, but I think he felt a tremendous amount of pressure to win every game and to win a national championship every year and to just not let anything happen to the program so that when he left here, it wasn't like, oh my God, this was a disaster. And it was not in any way, shape, or form. He always felt uptight to me, and I like Matt Entz a lot. And I mean, I think he took a short stick from a lot of Bison fans, from media, from opposing teams. He did a fine job in Fargo. Could have been better, but did a fine job. I wonder if he can loosen up a little bit at Fresno, and the pressure's not going to be there.
No way.
I mean,
correct.
It's just not.
Yep.
A lot of money. FBS program going to the Pac-12, but just a way different
expectation levels, no doubt.
Yep.
When we come back, we'll chat about the current Bison football team as they get ready for a quarterfinal game with the Mercer Bears and a couple other topics with Mike before we wrap up our first hour. Back on Hot Mike on this Tuesday morning on WDAY Extra right after this. Welcome back, everybody. I have to say, you know what I think of your writing skills, but your headline on Saturday after the Bison game, because we were talking about it, because I asked you, what do we think of how the Bison played? And you ran with it, which is perfect. Like, Bison defense wasn't great, except what it was.
Right.
And that was
and you were asking questions during the presser along those lines as well. It's like, so, like what? I think you asked both Tim Polasek and Cam, what do you make of this game? Because it was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, to use the cliche.
It was weird. That's what I said yesterday of how to describe the game. I will say, Jackson Williams' kickoff return will get kind of maybe lost in the shuffle. That was the catalyst to me. It's 17-3. Abilene Christian's got all the momentum, and then almost 5 yards deep in the end zone takes it. He was gone.
Yeah, it was weird because, and I tweeted out early, and I avoided the incarnate word thing again. Thank you very much. But I didn't say the game was over. But
it was teetering.
But at the end of the first quarter, it was really a feeling of, wow, I think they're in trouble here because they're just look slow and dead, and the dome was dead because it was half full.
Correct.
And Abilene Christian, which I knew and you knew from being on the field before the game, it's like, well, they got some dudes here, man. This is not like Colgate circa 2017 or whatever that year was.
18, I think it was. Yeah.
This is not San Diego or Drake.
Nope.
These guys, they got some dudes here. And the quarterback was good. Offensive line was not. And that, although
that came home to roost.
The running back was really good.
Sam Hicks was good. Yeah.
Woo! I mean, he was pretty good. And the receivers were big and strong, and they were good.
Defensive line was not
right,
good
but in the end, but I'm telling you though, and we talked about this. I think on Sunday we're swapping text with our group, and I don't want to get too far ahead here, but Cam Miller is really good. Folks, I mean, if you're a Bison football fan, and I'm a guy who thinks that Cam has been undersold his entire career. He took way too much crap the first couple of years of his career, first 3 years of his career. He's really good. He is a really good college quarterback, and they make a lot of plays offensively, not because their offensive line is dominant like it used to be, because it's not. They make a lot of plays because Cam Miller gets them in the right situation and can make the play after doing that. And there was a couple plays on Saturday where it's like, oh my goodness.
The TK Marshall touchdown was one of them.
Like what a play, what a throw. And so it's going to be interesting next season when Cam is gone and they lose their left and right tackles, and there's just a lot of guys leaving.
Stud tight end.
And I know the Bison just keep on rebuilding, reloading every single year, but the quarterback is really good.
Yep.
Really good.
They're facing a team that Mercer that won the SoCon. We've done this dance before when we've seen a SoCon
East
team.
Tennessee State.
Yeah. Samford. Wofford. Yeah. So is this a different dance, the same routine? What do you make of what we're going to see on think Saturday?
I maintain that this is not an all-timer NDSU team. I mean, I think we've seen that the offensive line just doesn't dominate like it used to.
No.
It just doesn't. They're plenty good for FCS, and teams are doing different things. Teams are just deciding, and you saw it on Saturday. It's like, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us passing. We're just not going to. You're not going to run for.
And that goes to your last point.
Right.
Quarterback is that good; he can do that.
Right. We're not going to let you beat us by running for 400 yards.
Right.
Just not going to happen. And so, can Samford do that? I mean, are they good enough to pick one or the other and then hold up? Are they going to be able to score? Is Samford? I'm sorry, Mercer going to be able to score?
I don't believe so. No.
I mean, they scored. Yep. I watched as many people did, the Rhode Island Mercer game on Saturday, and to me, with all due respect to the nation's smallest state, Rhode Island was extremely average. At least watching them on a screen.
And that was the best team in the Coastal this year, the CAA.
And Mercer was struggling. Rhode Island had multiple opportunities to take the lead in that game multiple times. And they just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, it almost feels to me, and I told this to somebody yesterday as well, it feels to me, this season has the feel of like 2016 for me, for NDSU, that it just kind of feels like defensively, they're not going the right direction late in the season, and they are thin at a couple positions, man.
No doubt about that.
I mean, they are thin, and they've had injuries, and everybody deals with it. But it feels like 2016 to me.
And that ended in the semifinal round with a pretty elite James Madison team
at home.
And staring at South Dakota State, who's only getting better.
We think so. Yep.
Jackrabbits are humming right now. Yep. I think Montana State's pretty darn good too, but South Dakota State, since the game in Fargo, they've been really, really good.
Yep.
We got to roll. Thanks for coming by as always, and we'll see you tomorrow. A little BMZ. Don't forget, put it on the calendar.
Oh, I'm glad you reminded me. Woo.
Put it on the calendar
just a
tomorrow.
second here. Let me. If I knew how to use my calendar, that would help. But okay.
Thanks for coming by, bud.
Yep.
Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday. We'll break. We come back. Big Hoops, second hour. Your guy, Tim Bergstrass, are going to join us about a half hour.
Love those Dragons.
Dragons are rolling again. Hot Mike continues after this.